Hey besties, welcome back to the Mad Girls Club. I am your host, Michaelle, but as you know, you guys can call me Millie because we're besties now. And before we get started, I just want to let you know that you can listen to the Mad Girls Club on any streaming platform. And also for season 2, we have all of our episodes available on YouTube for you to watch. This is the last episode of season 2, and I just wanted to have this episode kind of be different just because the whole point of the Mad Girls Club is to be vulnerable, and I really want to inspire women to own their struggles and not hide it. And also, with our struggles and the things that we go through, I want all of us to grow from it and, empower one another and be the best version of ourselves. And I know, being the host, that maybe you guys haven't noticed, but, I don't really speak. I mean, I do little spiels here and there about things that I've gone through, but I've never really sat down with you guys and really talked about my life and what I've gone through. And this episode is about that, and as the host, I feel like it's my duty to set an example, which is why I have brought my husband with me here today, so we can just get down about what life was before having a child, getting married, going through the shit that we went through as normal couples do in relationships, and how we've been able to overcome that. And hopefully our story will, empower other women. And then we also have a guy here who can give you a perspective of how men are and how men think. And Manny has also lived a very wild life, and now he's a father and a husband, and he can speak his truth as well. I also know that if you've been following me for a long time, you've probably seen my timeline on social media where, I just live different lives, where I posted my husband. Sometimes I didn't post my husband. Sometimes I would post crazy nights, wild nights out. And then all of a sudden this family feed is coming on, and we're just gonna hit all the rumors, hit all the shit that we've gone through, and kind of share our story, and hopefully you can get something positive out of it. But other than that, let me introduce y'all to my hubby over here, Manny.
Oh, you're too kind. Thank you for having me. Looks great. It looks great. I love the atmosphere. I'm excited. I'm happy for you. Proud. Come a long way.
I know, right?
Yeah, definitely.
From season 1, all we did was audio. So that's when I say only season 2 is on YouTube. Season 1 was only audio. And I just wanted to bring a different perspective where you guys can see us and really feel like y'all are in the room with us. And now we're on video. So follow us on YouTube at the Mad Girls Club. And yeah, I'm excited for you to finally be here. Well. Had to save the best for last.
Of course, been waiting a while for this.
I guess we could talk about life updates. If y'all don't know, I've been job hunting. Y'all know I just recently graduated. I've been job hunting so much, and this Monday coming up, I will, the week that you guys hear this, because y'all are going to hear this episode on Wednesday. So this past Monday for you guys, I will know if I got the job or not.
Excited.
So
We're
fingers crossed. Hopefully I get this job. I've been telling Manny that I really, really want to get this job. Just the culture of it. It's far as fuck. It's in Fort Worth, but it's hybrid. Someone told me that the word is not pronounced as hybrid.
Hybrid?
Oh, is it hybrid?
I thought that's what it was.
Okay. I've been saying hybrid. Maybe hybrid. I don't know. Hybrid. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, so I mean it's not too bad if you're working at home 3 days and in office 2 days.
I'm excited. It's definitely a big milestone. I mean, I've seen your accomplishments, I've seen you pretty much, man. From high
You've
school.
been seeing me since high school.
I've seen your whole career come out. So, all the late nights, all the struggles you put.
I would love to know what it looks like from your point of view to see someone, graduating high school to where they are now. I've never thought about it that way.
It's interesting because it's a lot of dedication that people don't see that come behind that. I mean, I'm sure the ones that experience it and go through school, they can relate to it or they can relate to you. But other than that, yeah, I mean, God, all the nights she stayed up till 2, 3 in the morning. Sometimes I had to be up at 6 in the morning, and you know, she tried her best to be at a corner with the corner light and try not to wake me up. Stuff like that she went through. All the studying, and I mean, it's expensive, especially once you finish, I guess, a community college and transition to like a university or UTA. That there, once you get those bills and they hit you with the books and per semester, you're like, what? You look at the cost, you're like, all right, what we looking at? Oh, for 4 years, yeah. And then they're talking about it's just one semester. No, that gets pricey. So yeah, it's been an adventure. It's been a roller coaster, definitely.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it like that. Like, cause Manny, he hates light. And when I tell you hates light, I remember when I first went in his room, like the first time I ever went in his room. Oh my God, he had freaking aluminum foil on the windows. And then he had like pillows, and then he had the blinds.
Baby, I was barricading myself.
And then he had like
2023 takeover.
The curtains. It was crazy. Like,
yeah, it was dark.
And I love light. I love white.
It was dark in there. But then again, at that time, I was working overnight too. I was a night manager at a grocery store, so I was working from like 9 p.m. to like 8 in the morning. Yeah. Something crazy like that. So when I slept was during the day. Saw the sun is up during the day, so I definitely need it as dark as it could be.
Talking about, you know, you working during that time too, like, so I got pregnant in 2014 right after I had graduated, and it was kind of rough when I got pregnant because I was alone a lot of the times because you also worked.
Oh, at night you were alone.
Yeah. Well, because like I would want to be with you and hang out with you during the day, but then you would want to sleep.
Right. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. So most of the time you were alone. Yeah, that's true.
Like,
that's true.
You would be there with me, but you would be asleep and I'd be awake. And then, like, I'd try to, like, stay up with me. And then, like.
I tried, but it's just be hard.
Yeah, you would go to sleep because you had to, because then you would wake up again at night to work throughout the night till morning. Then you get home in the morning, then you go to sleep almost all day.
Pretty much.
And so I'm like, I'm just there.
Yeah, the only time we really had time was when I sacrificed a couple of sleeps from my days off, really.
Yeah.
Even then, I was catching up from nights of labor, I guess. You know, it makes a big impact on the body.
What made you even choose that time?
What was that?
I think about it. Like, what what
made me what?
Like, choose that time to work at night till morning?
Well, so most people probably don't know this about me, but I wasn't born here. You know that obviously.
Yeah,
so for me, just having a job, finding a job was a struggle in itself. So I was kind of just trying to grab whatever. I was trying to grab whatever I could, and at that time was that spot that I had, which was
because nobody wants that time.
Well, yeah, of course that, and I mean, having to work without a work permit at the time, which was before Obama did the whole DACA thing. It was a big trouble, or it was a struggle, I guess, and you try to find a way around it, and that's what I did. And I mean, that's the only stable job I had at the time until got fortunate enough with what I'm doing now. Yeah. But I mean, it paid the bills. It did the job. It did what I had to do. It was honest labor. I liked it. Yeah. I liked working at night. I like being up at night. That's what it is.
Not now.
No, not anymore. No, I got like a.
He goes sleep.
I got like a 180
Noah
shit
goes
that
to
happened.
sleep.
Oh yeah, I'm putting my son to sleep. I find myself going to sleep while I'm doing it. So yeah, no, that was bad. That was when I was like 17, 18. Yeah.
Trying to pay off your charger.
All that, yeah, that too. Yeah, that was tough. I remember. Yeah, because we had Noah when I was 21, I think. You were 20? Or I was 20,
yeah, you were 20. No, you were 21. You turned 21.
I turned 21.
I was 19, turning 20.
Yeah. Yeah, so we had our son at a young age. Mm-hmm. Came with a lot of responsibilities, a lot of maturing.
Yeah, which we'll get to
evolve. That. Yeah.
But let's talk about like how we met. Let's give them our point of view of how we met, I guess.
Definitely.
You can go first because you noticed me first before. I do love your story.
I told her my story many times.
When he told me this, I was like, "What?" I had no idea. Like, I didn't know. Yeah, it's a great story.
So I met her in high school. We met in high school, but prior to that, I was at a different high school. So I kind of transferred into her high school, and I was a new kid there. But I knew friends that went to that school. So a couple of my buddies would always just hang out during, I guess, class. What was it called? That 10, 15-minute break that they give you.
Yeah,
to your next
yeah,
class.
yeah.
So we'd meet up at the little hallway, and I remember it was 3-4 of us. It was me and a couple of my buddies, and we're just joking. It's just a regular day, and out of nowhere, the corner, I just see this woman walk by, which of course was you. And it's just I had to do a double take. I'm like, hold up. I said, man, I have not seen this woman in this school. I said, who is that? And my partner, he's been in that school for like 3 or 4 years. So I just, I was like, hey, man, do you know her? Do you know any of her, any information about her? Well, how is she? And no, he was like, man, dude, he's like, she's a junior. She's a year younger than us. I don't really know much about her. Other than that, I couldn't tell you much. So I was, after that, I looked back.
I was actually a sophomore.
Were you a sophomore? So
yeah.
We were a junior. So you were a year.
No, you were a junior.
Yeah. So you were a year under us. And after that, I looked back, and she was gone. Like I said, the school was massive. I didn't see her anymore. It wasn't until fast forward, I want to say a couple months.
No, sorry, you were a senior, and I was a sophomore.
Yeah, I was a senior.
Because you graduated 11.
I graduated in 2011.
And I graduated in 13.
Okay, then.
So
yeah.
I was a sophomore, and you were a senior.
That's correct. Yeah, so I was a senior. And so it wasn't until months later. I think we had actually just graduated. And we went to go celebrate at this local teenage club. I can't remember the name of it.
Oh, my God. It was so ghetto.
I can't remember. God.
It was like those clubs that would show up on TV at night.
Yeah, it was big back in the days, okay? That was before social media.
Yeah.
Well, it was the come up of it. Anyway, so I seen her there. I seen her there with a couple of her homegirls. And I was with two of my same buddies that I seen her at school with, and I was with 2 other ones. And shout out to Joe. And let me say why. So he was one of my partners. He was there with me, and I was like, dude, I said, man, that's the girl that I was telling you from school. And he's like, no way. I said, I promise you that is her. And he's like, well, what, you gonna take a chance? Shoot your shot? And I was like, man, you think so? I was like, I just seen her, and she just turned down a guy. And my boy just stepped back. He's like, come on, boy. Like, he ain't you.
I remember that exact moment, too, where he came up to me, and I was like, no, I'm good.
Right? I said, bad. So, sure enough, I waited for the right song, and I think a bachata came on. And, your boy loved to jam, and he loved to dance that bachata, merengue. So, I walked up to her. I'm like, hey, you probably don't know me, but I've seen you, and I know you from school. I was like, I think you're gorgeous. I was like, you're doing me a favor and just give me this dance, And, after that, it was pretty much set in stone. She's like, yeah. It was funny, though, because I remember we danced we danced some bachata, a little bit of merengue here and there. And the funny part was, so while we were dancing, she puts her phone in my pocket, for obvious reasons. She's not going to be moving around with that brick on her hand. So she does that, and I guess she forgets about it. I forget about it. We're talking about each other and everything. And I guess she's in a rush, and one of her homegirls was like, well, hurry up, come on, we got to go. And she's like, hey, I got to go. And she just starts running back. And then I guess it dawns on her. She's like, oh, shit. So, 2, 3, 4 minutes later, she runs back, and she's like, forgot my phone. I said, did you? Or did I do that for a reason? And then she was like, shut up, cringy ass. And she just pretty much after that, I got her phone number. And so set in stone. At least from my part of my POV, that's how it went down.
So my point of view was, I obviously didn't know about the hallway situation until he told me about this years later.
Right.
And then the reason why I went to the club is because I had just broken up with my boyfriend at that time. And then I just, I've never really been one to clubs so much. And it was my first time. That day was actually the first time I actually went out
Look at me.
to this club or whatever. And I mainly went for my friends. I didn't care to dance with anybody. But the reason why I actually said yes to you to dance was because I remember you from school. And the reason why I remember him from school was because when I was in school, a lot of people kept telling me, for some weird reason, they kept telling me, they were like, I didn't know you had a brother here. I didn't know you had a brother here. I was like, I don't have a brother. You have a brother, but he is definitely not here. And then they're like, well, there's this guy that looks exactly like you. And I'm like, who the fuck looks like me?
Same thing I was asking.
And then, so then I'm like in line one day in the cafeteria, and then one of my friends is like, oh, that's the guy, that's the guy. And then I look and I'm like, you don't look nothing like me. I was like, I don't know that boy, you know, and then that was just the end of that. And then finally, I see him again like years later when I'm the senior at this point, and
That's
then
right.
you weren't a senior, like you had already
Yeah.
graduated, and then I was a senior during this time where we had met each other again at the club, and then from then, honestly, we never stopped talking after that.
We were
That was
inseparable after
literally
that.
like the start of everything.
Yeah, I remember I picked you up and everything. We go on dates. I had a car, so it was
Yeah.
easy for me to get around.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're right. After that,
After that, it's where it all started.
Yep, it all started. The roller coaster started.
Oh, and then one of the things too that I found, like at this moment, like when we were talking and stuff, we'd always talk on the phone, and then like, you know, sometimes when I don't know if anyone has ever felt this, but I felt like I knew that he was my person for so many like weird reasons. And one of them being like, I remember asking him like, oh, like, what's your favorite cereal? And then he said Cinnamon Toast Crunch. And I was like, shut the fuck up. I was like, that's my favorite cereal.
So there was stuff like that, and there's just a lot of little random stuff in our lives that just makes sense. Yeah. It just kind of fall together. Like her first, middle, and last name were the same as as far as the initial, MAD, which my full name is Manuel Alejandro Diaz. And hers, is Michaelle Andrea de la Torre. So just all those little stuff, they all kind of fall together in pieces. And there's many other stuff too that I'm sure we'll get into here later.
Not just that, but like like we were talking about like scenarios where we feel like we were maybe in the same place at the same time, but not knowing each other.
Right.
Like, for example, I used to be heavily like with a dance group. And we would like dance. I didn't dance at quinceañeras, but I would dance at what we would call blowouts back in the day, where you would like dance battle like all these other groups. I have no idea what
you're talking about.
No? Well, also,
I know exactly what you mean.
You do?
Yeah, I remember those moments. Yeah, the blowouts.
And then like I remember you saying that you were at some, and then you were at this girl's quinceañera that I was also at.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, we were definitely always around the same, not kind of the same crowd, but we were involved in the same activities, I guess, the same entertainment. We'd be around the same areas. So I'm kind of actually shocked that it took as long as it did for us to meet.
Yeah.
If I might be honest.
But yeah, it was just like those little things that when we would connect these pieces together and talk about it, I'd honestly feel like this person was meant for me.
It's like we were so close but so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
But talking about that, I guess we could talk about like, once all that happened and then we got together, we became boyfriend and girlfriend. I graduated high school, and then we instantly wanted to have a baby. And I know there's so many rumors of people saying Noah was an accident. But and when I say that Noah wasn't an accident, that we actually planned him, people are so surprised by that.
We talked about it. We had a serious discussion. I think we talked for a good while. It was one night. And so a lot of it has to do really with, as far as my point of view or my aspect is, I come from a perfect home, and I say that because my parents are still together. They've been together longer than they've been apart, actually. They're going on for like, I want to say 30 years, 35 years together. So I came from a good, stable home, I guess, I suppose. And, I knew love, and I knew that my dad was a hard worker. My mom would stay home and clean. And that's kind of what I was adjusted to. That's kind of what I was adjusted to. And so for me, and I know my dad himself, I know he had me. I'm the oldest from 4, and he had me when he was 19. So my mom was 17 at the time. So that was at a very young age. And for some reason, to me, the thought of family, just seemed so wholesome to me. And I've always wanted a family. And I knew that from a young age, I've always wanted a junior me. Not just that, but I wanted that big ideal family that people always that you see in movies and you think about. That's just me. And so yeah, we talked about it. But I mean, back to the story. That's why that seems so normal to me, and I didn't think much of it. And when I brought it up to her, it kind of shocked me that she was, I guess, headed in the same direction as us. But by then, we were already, I want to say, what, 2 years into going into 2 years into the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was pretty soon.
But we were like boyfriend and girlfriend, like, or how do you say, like?
Yeah, we had been talking, or we had been in,
like, we were talking
in connection like 2-3 years prior to me asking her to be my girlfriend. So we've known each other at this point, I want to say, like a good 5-6 year span.
Yeah, like we were talking more than we were together as boyfriend and girlfriend is what I meant to say.
Yeah. And so we talked about them and we planned them, and I remember that night. I remember the night we had them. But anyways, yeah, we planned Noah.
Yeah.
So when he sees this in the future, we planned you, boy.
Yeah, and then funny fact is obviously it's my first pregnancy, and my mom is Asian, and my dad is this, he's been in my life, but not really like that. But even then, like, I've technically always been scared of both my parents, like, who isn't scared of their parents? I mean, at least I was, because I'm a girl too. Maybe guys are different, I know your mom was like, doesn't care if you have a kid or not. She's like waiting for all of your brothers to have a kid. But my family on the other side, like, I was so scared to like get pregnant. And then when I got pregnant, I was so terrified to tell my mom and my dad. And I actually didn't tell my dad I was pregnant until I was giving birth. And then
she was deep in it.
Yeah, and then my dad didn't even get to go to the hospital because, like, he didn't even know that I was pregnant. And then my mom, on the other hand, she found out because somebody sabotaged me and just fucking told her, and I didn't want to tell her. Like, I think I was like 6 months deep pregnant, and my mom did not know I was pregnant. I was big, but she thought that I was just eating like a lot of Mexican food.
It's just a lot of excitement to keep bottled up for one person.
I was just so scared. And so finally, I mean, but I'm glad that you did that too. Forced me to tell my mom. Like, we were literally sitting in the couch, and he's like, Michelle, like, come on, we're gonna talk to your mom. And I'm like, didn't think it was like about that at all. I thought it was gonna be about something else. I don't know. And so I just sat there, and he's like telling my mom, like, we have to tell you something. And
her mom is like full ties, so she got very sentimental. She heard the news, and I mean,
she wasn't mad at all.
No, she wasn't mad. I think we caught her off guard. I'm sure she didn't think that was the right time or the moment that we were gonna tell her, or let alone have a kid. So I'm pretty sure it took her by surprise.
But now, I mean, she is obsessed with Noah.
Oh, yeah.
She's been obsessed with him since the day she found out. Yeah, she was always buying him things. And it made me realize, like, she probably wanted a grandkid more than I thought she wanted one.
She's so busy with your youth that she wanted to redo and re-race a kid.
Yeah. But so yeah, we had our kid, Noah, and then how long were we? We didn't get engaged until 2017. So about 3 years after having Noah is when we got engaged. And another rumor is that people, and when I say rumor, I mean like people tell people who tell me, and I like get ear of it. But then I also, y'all probably don't know, I get a few DMs sometimes throughout the year where people are on this fake profile and they're just like bashing me about my life and that it's fake. My life is fake. I forced him to marry me. He didn't want to get married. They feel sorry for Manny because he's stuck in this relationship and all this stuff. And, another reason, I guess, that we're here and talking about is just to set the record straight. And, I mean, well, anyways, before we get to that, so a lot of people believe that I forced you into an engagement.
That's insane, especially because I was the one that asked, so I don't see how that's even possible. No, no, no. I don't think it was forced or anything. If anything, I knew I wanted to marry you, and I knew I wanted to ask the question. It was always the thought of how to do it, because I know how you are, and I know you don't like big crowds and stuff like that, and it's always about something intimate, and it should be, of course. But my situation was that, um, I guess with all the planning and how fast everything was, and how fast we had Noah, and given the fact that I'm not from here and everything, and I think around the time it was when Trump was the president too, so there was a lot of aspects to that that came behind that. But as far as me, I knew I wanted to marry her, and I knew I was gonna ask her, and I don't know how that even became a rumor, how people saying or how people think that I was rushed, because I mean, after all, the man does ask the woman to marry her. So the way I see it is, a woman decides who she wants to be with, but a man ultimately decides who he wants to marry.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't always just butterflies. It was a big roller coaster that came behind that. So, these people, it's high school. It's people you grow up with, and the people you're around. They have a big influence around you. Not just that, but they see you grow up in a way when you're most, what's the word? Vulnerable. Because you're still youth, you're young, you're a teen. You're trying to figure out what you want to do with your life and whatnot. And I think it's easy for people to make up rumors when they have nothing else to do or nothing going on with their lives, that they're just worried about different situations.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, I mean, like I said, it goes way back, because there's a lot of stuff, in a 4 or 5 year span that people, I guess, experience, and there's a lot of stuff that people don't know about. And it's just like, the way I see it, it's the biggest investment you're gonna make to yourself, being with another person. So that's supposed to be a life investment. So with that, it comes to a lot of maturing and a lot of growing up to do, and so yeah.
So talking about engagement too, like, not that many people know, and I know we haven't even talked about this. I don't think ever was. He actually was going to propose to me before I had actually gotten proposed to.
Yeah, so I actually went with one of my buddies. Excuse me. I actually went with one of my buddies, and we went to go shopping for some rings, and I had brought him the idea. I told him, I said, "Hey, dude, I think I'm ready. I'm gonna pop the question. She's the mother of my son. I love her. There's no other reason. There's no other person I know I can see myself spending the rest of my life with, other than her." And he's like, "Well, shit, man." He's like, "Well, fuck it. After work, let's go see what we can find. Let's see if we find some good rings." So we went shopping around, and I was trying to find something good at the time, and it just, I guess I couldn't find anything. Nothing worked out as planned.
But then I feel like a lot of our lifetime of us being together, I feel like, when sometimes people say, like, you have to meet someone at the right time too, because, everyone is going through different things and different times in their life. And, like, for example, I just watched this show on Netflix called Sex Life, and basically this guy and this girl, well, two of them too, like the two of them, the best friends, the girls, like, they want to be with this guy, but they're just with each other. They find each other at the wrong time every time, and they can never be with one another because it's just bad timing. And I feel like for us it's kind of similar, where we were together, but we've always, I did something bad, then you did
Right.
something bad,
Right.
then, we were just so childish, and, like, I wanted to do some revenge, or, like, I wasn't, I guess, maybe ready at times too to be in a committed relationship and be married. I don't know if it was self-sabotage or what it was, but at the end of the day, I did fuck up sometimes, and he fucked up sometimes, and it was just, we never had a moment where we both didn't fuck up.
Yeah, so there was definitely a lot of maturing that we did throughout those 4 or 5 years, but it's no different than any person coming into a new person's life. It's, you don't know what baggage they come with, or what they have behind them. And you really don't do nothing but hope and try to accept whatever it is that they have, until it is that you start to slowly realize and pick up on habits that they're doing, and then from there you pretty much just have to make a decision ultimately. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of struggles. I don't remember. I know for sure whenever I entered into with my wife in a relationship with her, I didn't know what I was signing myself up for. You know, and it's hard to say, hey, just you're gonna forget everything you did in your past life, and from now on, this is who you're with. You know, that's a very immature way to think of it. And there's always gonna be people trying to come in, or I guess make a detour into your relationship and just sabotage, or try to make old flings come and situations like that. So I think whew, it took us a lot of it took a lot of it took a lot of learning and growing with us. It took a lot of learning and growing from each other to finally be able to understand, or at least for me to finally be able to understand what it meant to be in a committed relationship, or what it was to value a relationship. That's what it was for me. Other than that, I feel like up until a certain age, it's just girlfriend, boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend. You think you're in love, or you tell yourself, "Hey, man, I think I found the one," but it's like, what really is love? How do you determine, or how do you define your definition of love? Because I'm sure every person has their own. And for me, the purest form of love I've ever had was when my son came out. And at that moment, I was like, man, this is different. I've never felt it. What is it? What's going on? What's this? My situation is, from the moment I met you, I knew that I wanted to be with you no matter what, and I had to have you all for myself. But it was that immature thinking, it's I want you for me, and I don't want no one else to have you. I want you to be mine, and I want you to do this, and I want you to do it this way. That's what I mean with a lot of maturing that I had to do also, and that I learned from myself.
And then I'm petty, so it's like you're over
Yeah.
here doing all this other shit. Like, I'm not just gonna sit around. Like, I'm gonna be petty too.
Right.
There was just a lot of gaming.
There was a lot of, like I said, a lot of maturing that we did throughout those years, and ultimately, I feel like once. How can I put this in perspective? I guess as far as to tell my story, or my situation.
Be real, be
Right. So for me, ultimately, honestly, we had already. Well, I don't know if you want to talk about that now, or if you want to talk about it later, which was the 2 years that we were apart.
I mean, if you want to talk about it now, we can.
So, yeah. So,
We actually. Well, okay. So what happened? Okay, so
I don't know if a lot of y'all know or not, but we were actually filing for a divorce at one point of our life or our relationship.
And it was after we got married. So I just wanted to put the timeline out there.
Well, of course, divorce, and it was after we had our son. So yeah, that was a very rocky 2 years, and a very, very interesting 2 years, I would say, because for me, I did a lot of maturing and a lot of growing up. I had my business at the time already, so I've always kept my mind busy, and I think that's very important for any person in their 20s, really. Especially with depression, anxiety, and everything that goes on in this world, is to try to keep that mind busy, to keep a stable mentality. And for me, juggling a divorce, I guess something that would seem so prohibited based on the upbringing I had with my parents, with my mom and my parents being together, was definitely something that I knew I didn't want, but I know sometimes a person is just in a bad situation. They just gotta go. So for me, I had a what's the word for it?
Epiphany?
I guess you could say I had an epiphany. I just remember one night I woke up, and I was just, I mean, that's after, I think, a year and a half that, I think it was a solid 6 months that you and I had not spoke to each other, because she was petty as hell. So it would go on and off. And I think it was like a good 6 months. And I think we had discussed that we were going to already see different people, and you're going to do your own thing. I was going to do my own thing. We're just going to be mature enough and come together for our son, whatever moments those were.
We discussed, like, you were already talking to someone.
Yeah, like all that was, yeah. So that happened, and I don't know, I just had an epiphany. I remember just waking up one time, and I was just thinking deeply, I mean, I was just thought for like 3-4 hours, nothing, just me sitting in the room, and I was like, what is my life coming to? What legacy am I gonna leave, or what really do I want out of this? And I've realized that I had been old enough to understand the relationships I've came from, and to understand the type of man that I am. You know, not cocky or anything. You know, but I've always been an alpha male. It's always been easy for me to get whatever it is that I wanted, and that's never a good thing because people. What's the word for it? It's not a good thing because people like to take advantage of that. Well, the individual himself likes to take advantage of that. So I understood the relationships that came prior to my wife, and I matured from all those relationships, and I looked back as to what did I really gain from those relationships. And ultimately, it was just puppy love. You know, it was just like, I'm in school, I gotta claim her. She's the baddest, and that's all it was. And once my son came out, and once I had that conversation with myself, and it brought me to a different spectrum. I'm like, I got my business going on. I'm a mature man. Am I gonna be living this way when I'm 30? Is this what I want? You know, if there's a chance that I know we can rekindle that fire, or I know we can save our marriage, because it's not permanent at this point yet. You know, why not try? You know, why settle for something else, or why try to ignite something with somebody else when I had already known deeply that she was the woman for me. It was like I said, at that time, it was so much maturing that we had to do. So, which brings back her saying, at the wrong place at the wrong time, means someone at the wrong place at the wrong time. So yeah, I remember I just called her up that night, and I'm like, hey, where are, like, I know, actually, I didn't even call her. I drove that night. I drove over to somewhere in Deep Ellum, and it was a club that I know she was there every fucking time. You know, we was those toxic couples that I know she was gonna be there. I'm gonna swing by, see she there. She know I'm gonna be there. She gonna swing by, see if I'm there. So I swung by. I said, God damn, I didn't see her there. So I said, man, is it too late? So I said, man, fuck it, I ain't got nothing to lose. You know, my mind was made up at that point. I knew what I wanted. You know, I was a confident man. And I made that call. I was like, hey, despite the bullshit, all the roller coasters, all the shit we've gone through, we had a son at the time, and we just had a mature conversation. We tried to have a mature conversation, but I remember she was out of town at that time. So we scheduled for a better time, or in-person time. And yeah, after that, I want to say that started the uphill roller coaster. No,
well, you're missing some parts a little bit.
I'm sure I am.
Okay, so let's rewind that a little bit before you started realizing that you missed me or whatever, that you wanted to rekindle that situation. So like he said, we weren't together for close to 2 years, I think it was. But this is after we had gotten married, so which is why we were filing for the divorce. And another reason why I really wanted with the divorce is the whole what's the word?
Maturity growing up.
No, infidelity.
Okay, yeah.
So when he had did that really was the breaking point for me. But then there was still a part of me where I blamed myself for him doing that. This is a part where I talk a lot in my podcast about, women being naive sometimes, women not knowing self-love, because although he did what he did, I still blamed myself because I felt like I didn't give him enough. He was looking for it somewhere else because I didn't do it. I didn't give him what he needed. And in reality, once I knew what self-love was, I was like, fuck that. That has nothing to do with me. That has to do everything with him. And I didn't do anything wrong. That was his choice. And, if he decided to do that, that's on him. And then, it's just at that point, I stopped blaming myself because I knew it had nothing to do with me. And then from then on, I was traveling a lot, which is why when he finally decided to rekindle with me, I was out of town. I was honestly, during that year, I think I traveled to a place every other month. I was just everywhere, and then just living my best life, and then I was talking to someone, he was talking to someone, and then finally, when he reached out to me, it wasn't because, I wanted to get with him so easily. But, one of the things that he said was, I want to, which is something I had offered him before, but he didn't want to do it. And then I wanted to do it not for the sake of saving our marriage, but I wanted to do it for the sake of our son. Because I was still very petty. He was not, but I just was like, you did some fucked up shit. And then, but I'm sorry, let me rewind a little bit. Talking about like the whole, me not blaming myself anymore. But anyways, when I was talking about the naive part, sorry, I'm like going back and forth because there's like just so much. And, so anyways, the naive part is like he did what he did, but I still felt like it was my fault, And at that time, although he did what he did, I still wanted to be with him. And, what my breaking point was one time when I had went out on Halloween, which if y'all have heard me in previous episodes talking about jail and stuff like that, they know that already, but they don't know the details that landed me in jail, I guess you can say. And so up until the point of like the infidelity and the jail moment, between that time, I was still naive. I, still wanted to be with him, even though what he did was foul. And it wasn't until I landed myself in jail that I realized, my self-worth. And the reason why I realized it was because I just thought to myself, like, I never in my life thought that I would ever land in jail. I follow the law. When I see cops, I tremble, I get nervous, like I never saw myself in this situation. And the fact that I allowed myself to stoop so low because of someone and it brought me here, I was like, I'm never doing this shit again. Like, I'm never giving the power. I'm never going to allow a man to take my power where, I land myself in this predicament, this situation. And so at that moment when I went to jail, like, all you can do if you've ever been in jail is think. Like, you can't do anything else. There's no windows, there's no clock, there's no TV, there's nothing. From the moment I got the handcuffs put on me, I was crying till the moment I left. Like, I did not stop crying the whole time I was there. And I didn't get up from my bed because I was scared to get up. I didn't want to. I've watched a lot of shows, and it's terrifying what those movies and shows like make up of being in jail. And so I didn't want to be in a situation where I stepped on some inmate's toes and they want to fight me or something. I didn't want to use the restroom. I was so terrified of being in there that I was going to get hit, jumped, or mugged, killed, stabbed at. I don't know. Like, I've never literally been in there. And so I was terrified. So I did not get out of my bed at all. And so I was just like literally there crying day in, day out. And within that time, I'm just thinking to myself, and, within that time, it's sad that I had to go through that to learn the value of myself and to love myself. I don't think women should have to go that far to understand like the value of themselves and loving themselves. But, sometimes you just have to go through terrible shit. And honestly, although it was a bad time in my life, I'm kind of grateful for it, because I feel like if I would have never gone through that, I still wouldn't have been the person that I am now, which I feel like is this really strong, independent woman who like loves herself, who values herself, who, doesn't take shit from anyone anymore. People can't step on me no more. Like how I used to be, where people could just ask me something and I'd always say yes, yes, yes. I didn't know how to say no. I never spoke up. Just being naive and the little girl that I used to be. At some point, we have to grow old and evolve. And I feel like a lot of us as women, we don't do that. We live our life 30, 40, 50 years, still allowing men to like just own us. And with we're in 2023 now, and, it's a different, world where you got people out here trying to have other people accept they, them, he, she, you know, like
Right.
it's just a whole different world
Right.
now. And I feel like, you know, it's that time for us. And yeah, no shade to you at all or anything like that. Like I'm glad to have experienced that for myself to be where I am now.
For me, I think it was the transition part from the boy to a man, you know, and accepting responsibilities and accepting the shit that I did, and stop, I guess, pretty much blaming others or blaming you for actions or stuff that led towards the direction that we were headed to. You know, once I understood what it was that was causing all this, and once I knew that I was making the mistakes, it I guess it changed me in a way that it let me I view things differently, you know, as far as a commitment and a relationship. You know, I saw it completely different. It was like a complete 180. You know, I knew that I wanted to value you and I wanted to be with you, and I had to be with you. And that's why that night when I reached out, I was like, man, I hope it ain't too late. You know, I hope everything that's happened. I knew everything that's happened between us was nothing we couldn't undo. You know,
Yeah.
it was something we could talk about, sit down, and that's why when you were talking about you were gonna bring up the marriage counseling, right?
Oh yeah, the marriage counseling. So when so when you had reached out to me, you were talking about like I want to do marriage counseling
and
to save our relationship.
Right, and that's what I was saying. And you were saying that I didn't believe in that, and I never did. So, excuse me. So that's where I'm coming with transitioning from a boy to a man, from a boy to a man. There's many things that I didn't like that I know you did, or things that I know you thought would better us. You know, but I was stuck in this way that I was like, no, that shit ain't gonna help. That ain't gonna do nothing. You know, it was kind of a selfish way. You know, and once I had that epiphany, and I was like, well, you know, if you think that's gonna help us, if you think that's gonna make us stronger, what do I have to lose for trying it? You know, like honestly, how's it gonna hurt me in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah.
So, you know, and it was just a different way of thinking. You know, I could have been a pessimist the whole time and just be negative about it and be like, nah, fuck that. That shit ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna do nothing for us. We're just gonna be wasting money. We're just gonna be doing this. But at the end of it, you know, if you think about it, it's like, what do we have to lose for it? You know, I mean, everything is already going to shit. You know, hopefully, if anything, we'll get some light out of it.
At least for our son,
exactly.
So we can
definitely
co-parent and be healthy together. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on in the air in here, but yeah, like, so when he reached out to me, you know, we were talking about counseling, and I didn't go into it thinking like, oh, like I want to do this to save our marriage, because I was kind of like already over it. And then, but for him, I wanted to do it because I wanted to have a healthy relationship. Because like when he said I was really petty, I blocked his number. If he wanted to reach out to me, like he couldn't. He'd have to reach out to me through my mom. If he wanted to, I didn't even want money from him. If he wanted to give me money, he would have to give it to my mom. If he was dropping off Noah, picking Noah up, everything had to go through my mom.
Everyone can understand how an immature situation and just, you know, the way we used to think and the way our mentality was back then. Like there was no hope or way we were ever going to work or try to save anything that we had together, because that's just not the way you're supposed to be thinking, especially when you're trying to work something out with another person, you know. Yeah. Especially, like I said, the biggest investment in your life. If you're going to share that much time with someone, you want to make sure you want to at least pick someone you can work things out with. Yeah. You know, have at least that communication there where y'all can speak in a mature manner, and it's not just toxic shit being tossed around or being screamed back and forth, you know. And then you put a kid into a scenario, and that's just a whole different topic.
Excuse me. So yeah, that was like naive me. So then finally when he decided like, let's go to counseling, I had already went through what I had went through. And I was like, yeah, like I do want to do that because I do want to have a healthy relationship with this person. Because not only that, when I finally, you know, didn't care about the relationship, not being together, like accepting the fact that, you know, we're filing for divorce, he's seeing someone, we're in different relationships. Like when I finally accepted that, I was, I just had like this different mindset now. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down for that. And then we started talking a little bit. And then I did realize like when we did talk, like we were really good friends. Like one thing I liked that I
That's
really
always
liked
us,
is like when we weren't together, we were really, really good
We've
friends.
always vibed on a
Yeah,
different level.
we would like,
Anything we're doing.
yeah,
We're that
like,
couple that we like you see in movies, and we'll be sitting in a restaurant, and we see another couple next to us, and they look a little uptight, or like if it's their first date. We're fucking, we're voice acting over them and acting like we know what they're saying and just being
yeah.
funny and just shooting the shot. Shit, that's
Yeah,
what we do.
yeah. But yeah, like I felt like we were just like really good friends at that point, and so yeah, I was like, why not? So we went, and then it was not like I said, not my intention to get back with him or anything. But then
That same vibe was the reason that I was like, man, this is because you put yourself and you think about your other relationships. It's like, how into it have you really been with somebody? And I've never connected with someone at this level. So I knew that was it for me. That was her. I had to have that was mine.
and then we went to counseling, and then I learned so much about him that although I was with him for so long, that I didn't realize that there was things that I didn't know about him, and vice versa. Like, for example, communication is honestly key
Oh
to
yes,
any
definitely.
relationship.
That's one thing we learned when we were going through marriage counseling and doing all that ordeal is communication
And understanding, and not having to like always what's it called,
you're
like,
not you have to realize you're not always going to be right. And the worst criticism a person can ever take is the one from their beloved. You never want to hear criticism about the person you're with, because who wants to hear negative thoughts that your beloved is thinking about you?
yeah.
So once you understand that and y'all can come into a conclusion into a way that y'all can communicate that works out for both of y'all, because everybody's different, it makes a hell of a difference.
Yeah, like for example, I can give you one example that they told us. Like, for example, when I'm mad, I like to talk about the situation right then and there. I'm that person. We're angry. Let's resolve it right now. And he's the type of person where if we get into an argument, he doesn't like to talk about it right then and there.
I get very heated at the moment.
Yeah.
I gotta take myself out of the situation because I know myself and I know I'm gonna say something stupid and something that I'm gonna regret. But it's just word vomit. It's just I'm so pissed it's gonna come out. So I have to get out that situation and I have to be by myself for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and then prior to going to counseling, like I didn't know that. Like, I would just see him like walk out and storm off, and that would piss me off even more. Like, I don't understand, like, why we're in the middle of a conversation. Why would you just walk off like that? Like, I'm trying to fix this now, but him walking off would fuel me up and piss me off, and then
wasn't making things any better.
Yeah, it wasn't, and it wasn't until counseling that one of us has to be the bigger person here. One of us, like either him talk about this, putting his pride aside and talking about it with me now, or me stepping away and knowing that this has not just to give him time. And then we can come back and talk to it later. That's where the communication comes in and understanding one another and how we work, Yeah. So I felt like that really helped us a lot too.
It did. It was definitely a big eye-opening. The way I see relationships is it can go two ways. She can either drag you down or she can be your number one fucking fan, your number one supporter, and pick you all the way up. So there's times where, you'll find that people that drag you down, you just got to get out of that situation. But then there's time where you find someone that's very supportive, which is the woman I found, and you just feed off each other. Y'all vibe, y'all match each other's energy. And that's who ultimately a person should choose or want to be with, is someone that's going to better them, elevate them to the next level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I mean, counseling really worked for us. That is, when we actually went to counseling that first day, was the day that my attorney had called me and was like, I need you to sign the papers today. But I had put her on pause because we were going to this counseling, and the counseling lady, it was a couple, it was a male and a female, and she was like, okay, so when are you guys getting divorced? And I was like,
yeah, well, I remember being at work. And
yeah.
I was at work. I'm doing my thing, and out of nowhere, police shows up. I said, God damn, Manny, what the fuck did I do? Shit. And I see my manager walk out. He's like, hey, Manny, they need to speak to you. I said, me? Okay. So I'm walking up to them, and I you see this shit in TV, you see it in movies, you don't think nothing of it.
I'm so petty. I paid that person to do that.
That shit was hilarious. The person walks up, he's like, "Hey, you're being served." I look at the paper. I'm like, okay, and little man shit. He's like, okay, and he's like, oh well, it shows the time and day that you have to show up to court. And I said, all right, are you gonna be there holding my fucking hand too, or? And then he's just like, oh, no, I'm just the third party, man. I said, okay, well, I'm the first party. And then I remember grabbing that shit, throwing it away, and walking out, man, the motherfucker. I said, what the fuck is this bullshit? Just because you never think it's gonna get to that level, you don't see yourself in that situation. You know, you see it around you. You see you see the movies. You know, like I said, or the shows. You know, when it happens to you, you're like, what kind of bullshit is this? The fuck?
Yeah. So yeah, the counseling lady was like, you know, when is your divorce? And I was like, actually, I have to tell my attorney today that I'm gonna sign and go through with it. And she was like, no. She's like, put it on pause. She's like, let's just go through this counseling session first. And at the end of it, you can do what you want with that, you know, attorney. And so I texted my attorney, who's also like one of my greatest friends at the time. Well, she still is, but she's, you know, we kind of went our separate paths and stuff. But she was like, I texted her and I was like, hey, like, can we just put this on hold? She's like, are you sure? I'm like, yes, let's just put it on hold for now. And then we'll come back to this later. So then I put it on hold, and then we went through a few counseling sessions. I don't know how many it was, like 3 or 4 or something, but we did one every week. We did one every week, and each session was, I think, like $300 or something, right?
That was pricey.
It was really pricey. And so, yeah, we did it for a few months, and then finally at the end of the month, I felt like, or at the end of our session where we decided we didn't want to continue with it anymore, not because we didn't want to, but I felt like at that point it was kind of like we were done. Like we did want to be with one another. So then I texted my attorney friend again, and I was like, hey, like, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I knew that it was going to be a loss for me because, like, I had paid so much money for this attorney. You know, attorneys aren't cheap. But I was like, you know, like, fuck it. Like, if this isn't going to go down, like, you're going to have to pay for the next one. Like, I'm not paying this shit twice. But no, like, it worked out. And then my birthday was coming up. And then you did a spontaneous trip.
Yeah, we went to Florida, was it?
Yeah, we went to Disney World, and we took Noah with us. And up until like a year of our relationship of being back together, it was really, really hard for me to accept being with him again. Like, I wanted to be with him, but I'm not going to lie when I say, like, one foot was in and one foot was out. And it wasn't out because I just wanted to dip and leave anytime. One of my foot was out because I was waiting for a fuck up. I was waiting for, you know, him to mess up, to do something again. You know, I was just preparing myself for it because it was just, you know, our relationship prior to that was always like me, him, me, him.
Well,
me,
I can
him.
imagine for a woman how hard it is to just, the concern would be, you know, there's broken promises. You just have a man just telling you words, hey, I'm changing, hey, I'm changing. So I could imagine how hard it would be for you to actually believe that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? After everything that's happened.
Yeah, and then not just that, but like going through this change of who I am as a person now, I felt stupid. I kept telling myself, like, you're dumb, you're stupid. Why are you giving this person another chance? You know, not only am I telling myself this now, but people in my family are telling me, you're dumb, you're stupid for getting back with him. I have friends that are telling me, you're dumb, you're stupid for getting back with him. I'm telling myself this, but it was like, the reason why I honestly gave it another shot was because I told myself, like, if I give this man another shot, haven't gone through counseling, and if counseling truly didn't work, I can finally, at the end of this relationship, if it doesn't work, truly say that we have tried everything to try to make it work. And if it didn't work, I was okay with that. I would be at peace. But at least I knew for myself that we've done everything we've could to try to make it work. And I think that that's why I stood with him, because I wanted to fight for the relationship, knowing that we were such great friends. Everything felt like we were
so
meant
compatible
to be together. Yeah. And I just felt like I wanted to give it one last shot, one last try. And if, you know, he fucked up or I fucked up again, at least I knew that we tried our best
Right.
to try to make it work. And then at that point, like, I'm done. Like, you know, we're just going to go our separate ways. Like, it just didn't work out. But ultimately, it did work out. And we're at a time in our life now where he's honestly my best friend. Like,
We just grown up a lot.
I
Really.
can't, like, I don't like him not being so like far away from me at times. Like when you're at work, you know, like I miss him. I want him to come home. Like
we really enjoy each other's company is what it is, to be honest with you. I mean, once you find that person that you know you can grow with and you see yourself for the rest of your life, it's really it's nice the things that you can do throughout the day, and that you're like, man, you know, you don't feel like you're stuck anymore, like you're not moving on, or that you're in a situation at that time in your life where you're like, man, I want more. Like, no, everything just makes sense. Everything comes together.
Yeah, I can feel the healthiness of this relationship now. I feel like, I just feel like we're just like best friends together, you know?
Yeah, and another thing too that you did mention was the whole family thing. Because I know that was something hard that I think was hard for you to digest was family talking about, hey, you know, the way they're gonna see you, the way they're gonna look at you.
I had a family member didn't stop talking to me because of being with him again, disowned me basically.
Yeah, and the situation with that is, people are always going to talk. People are always going to have something to say, you know, and it hurts the deepest when it's the people closest to you. But at the end of the day, those people themselves have their own battles and their own demons that they're fighting with. You know, they're just not as bluntly as we or other people put them on the table. But at the end of the day, you know, it's your decision. It's your life. It's whoever y'all choose, who y'all want to spend your lives with, or who it is that you know who you can grow with. And at the end of the day, all those thoughts and all that shit that people are gonna say, it's not gonna matter because they're gonna talk regardless, whether it's with this person or the person after that person. The negativity is gonna be there. You know, at the end of the day, it's whatever makes you happy, or whatever at the moment you feel that, you know what, this is what I need to do. This is what my heart's telling me. This is what I'm gonna shoot for.
But yeah, sorry, going back a little bit like we've been together now after the whole breakup and counseling for how long now? Maybe 3 years now. 3 years. Yeah, but for that first year, we were together, but I never wore my engagement ring that he gave me because it was just still so hard for me to, you know, accept the fact that, you know, there was times where we even had discussions in the car where, like, maybe I wanted a break. Maybe we went into this too fast. You know, like sometimes I would cry to him and be like, you know, like I want to be with you, but
it's hard.
You know, like it's really hard for me to like accept like all that has happened. Like it was more than one time that we had this conversation where definitely. I would cry to him and be like, you know, sometimes I feel like I don't want to be in this relationship and I don't know why. Like I do love you, but it's really hard for me to be here.
And those are the moments that really test you the most. Think about it, because at that time that's when you're the most vulnerable. You know, you being the person that, you know, caused the issue or put you in the situation that you're stuck in now. You know, it's hard to come up with any words to really say, to justify, I guess, how you feel or how sorry you really are. So, you know, all you can do is really just try to show them by action, or even then, you know, you comfort them, but even then, you know, it's not enough. So it's very discouraging in both parties, because no matter what, those emotions are still there. You know, that tense, it's always there, or you feel it there.
Yeah. So tension. Then after the year of like feeling like this, past that year, I kind of finally decided, like, you know, like this person has changed. You know, like at this point, I'm like, if I do leave him, like this man has finally changed. He's everything I ever wanted him to be. You know, like, why am I leaving him? Why do I want to leave him now when he's become the person that I've always been waiting for? And then so finally I accepted it, and I was like, that foot that was outside the door, I finally brought it in, and I finally closed that door, and I was like, no, like, you know, like if I'm gonna be in this relationship, like I need to be in it 100%. You know,
Well, you get to thinking, you know, it's like, is it gonna hurt me more not being with him, or is it gonna hurt me more?
yeah, and that is one of the things that you asked me too one time when we had the conversation, like,
Yeah,
because he
I do
even
remember
said,
that.
like, if you want to leave, like, I'll let you, like, you know,
Yeah, I'm not gonna hold you back. You know,
yeah,
it's just a maturity level. It's not that I don't want to be with you or anything. You know, I love you more than anything in this world. But the last thing I'm gonna do now with this head that I have is hold you back from anything. You know, whether that be goals, the way you're feeling, or any decision that you make. You know, I feel like we can always communicate and talk about it. And if that's what you want at the end of the day, and that's what I feel like you have your mind made up. You know, it's what you're gonna do. It's gonna happen. So I'd rather be here. You know, talking about and discussing it and being aware of what's gonna happen and giving you that option and laying it on the table.
mm-hmm.
And you know that way it's just there's no secrets at all. You know,
Yeah. And it was honestly when he gave me that choice, like I did want to leave, but I did want to stay. You know, I was still battling it. But then he asked me that question, like,
will it hurt you more to stay in this relationship now, or will it hurt you more once you're gone,
and then
or
when he
not being
said
with me?
that,
Will it hurt you
yeah.
more not being with me?
And I just felt like, you know, with the life that we have built now and how he is now, I feel like it would hurt me more not being with you because you're just this amazing person now.
Oh,
Our
that's deep.
relationship is amazing now. And it's like, I just felt like, you know, it's just not going to get better. You know, it's, and it,
Finding that,
yeah,
know,
it's,
finding that illusion
yeah.
somewhere.
And then finally, after that mentality change, I put my ring back on, the engagement ring that he got me. But it was also still so hard having it on my fingers because I felt like it was a reminder of all the shit I had went through, you know. So
See, fellas, and this is the small little shit that y'all want to hear, I guess, or that y'all want to pay close attention to, because shit like this never ever crossed my head. But it makes sense once she brought it up and once she
yeah,
brought it up and once she said it. You know, it's a constant reminder of what
yeah.
infidelities or whatever that ring had behind it.
Yeah.
So.
And so ironically, I promise it wasn't on purpose. I lost it one day. I was on campus. I don't know what the fuck I was doing, if I was doing cartwheels with my backpack open or what, but I couldn't find that ring anymore. And it kind of sucks that I lost it because like we could have got something else, but then at the same time,
Whoever found that ring, you lucky little. Let me tell you.
but it's also like kind of like a blessing because like, you know, I don't have to wear that ring anymore. And then plus he got me like a a different band that I wear now all the time. And
now.
I kind of been rocking my Cartier
Until the new ring shows up.
But no, honestly, like the whole point of me opening up and telling you guys about my life and our life, honestly, is, you know, like
it took a lot.
It does take
to
a
get
lot.
where we're at now. You know, it took a lot of sacrifices, a lot of
Yeah.
battles, a lot of struggles, a lot of mental thoughts.
And it's not going to work if one person is trying
Yeah, that's
to do
for sure.
it. Like,
That's a fact. That's a fact.
you
If
both
it's only,
have to want
yeah,
it.
both have to put the energy. If it's only one person putting in the work, it's impossible. There's no way. It has to be a 50-50. There's no 70-30, no 60-40. You have to both put in the same amount of work.
Yeah.
If not more here and there, but all with good graces.
But okay, so while we're wrapping it up now, I do want to ask you a few questions, just for the women out there who feel like, man, like they went through that, they accomplished it, they're living their happy life now.
I ain't trying to get crucified by no guys out there now.
But like I guess like the reason why I want to ask you these questions is because some women are gonna listen to this and feel hopeful that
sure
in their relationship
the
can bloom like ours, you know. But there's a but, and when I say this but is it's not always going to be the case, because as you know, like we have friends that are currently, like there's women out here, for example, that are waiting for their man to change. They're sticking around and then knowing that that person may never change. So my question to you is, what advice do you give a woman, or for them to realize like that guy's never going to change? Like at what point do they stop sticking around?
So that's a very complicated question and a debatable statement. What advice?
Because there's women that are they're watching this and be like, man, like I've been sticking it with my man for 3 years. I could hold it down another 3 or whatever because he changed.
Yeah.
My man
See,
can
the
change.
thing with that is, man, there's a lot of variables that come behind that. A lot of it is age. You know, maturity comes into play. Whether you're in a relationship at 23 years of age, 26, 28, it's all gonna have different roller coasters. You're gonna battle different demons. But as far as hoping or wishing a man is gonna change, man, I can only speak from experience. To be honest with you, I believe a man only changes for a specific woman, and that's it. I feel they'll get that moment where they think about their life decisions and where their life is headed, and they're like, hey, I need support. I need someone that's gonna be there for me. Because at the end of the day, nobody wants to be alone. No man's gonna want to be alone. So if you're hoping or wishing a man is gonna change, and y'all been in a relationship for longer than 3 or 4 years, and you're getting the same habits and the same consequences, man's not gonna change. If he hasn't changed after 4 or 5 years in a relationship, if a man has not changed, you're not the woman he's gonna change for. That's honestly the best advice I can give. Because that, and there's just a lot of things that come with that. At the same time, the woman has to think for herself, when is she gonna make a fucking change? Because there's variables where you bring kids into the situation, and it's like, that's cool before the kids were brought up, but now you got this 2-3-year-old that's that's listening to y'all fight, that's looking at y'all's arguments. She doesn't understand, but she hears what's going on, and that's not healthy. And it's like, at that point, the woman has to be like, hey, that's it's the same habits coming out of this. Nothing healthy coming out of this relationship. If it's not for you, do it for your daughter. Do it for your kids. Do it for your mental health. Be like, hey, this ain't right. This isn't the way I should be treated. This man ain't gonna change. It's gonna be someone out there is gonna be willing to, I guess, play the part of that man that you're looking for.
Yeah. And then for the women that are probably thinking, well, why did you change? What answer do you have to that?
So me, I changed because, I matured. I understood what it was to, I guess, love a woman or value a relationship. And I knew that I had all the support, and my life was better when I was with you. Mentally, with all the shit despite everything that's happened on the struggle, there was happy moments all around those years that we were together. And for me, those good moments always shadowed all those bad moments we had. And I knew that most of the problem was me. And if I could make that 180 change and, get my head in the right place. And I guess it's just the way I look at life the way I look at life now. I'm not out there chasing money, chasing women or anything. Like, I just want a happy family, Like, I love being around my son. I love being around you. And you support me as far as, like, with my goals and my dreams. There's nothing you've ever said negative to me about anything that I have planned for us. And to me, that's like one of the strongest, I guess, aspects I can ever ask for in a woman is, to have my back and to have my support, to be my root. So I changed because I didn't see any other woman based on my other relationships. And once I met you, I didn't see any woman that can really match your potential, or elevate me to the place that you elevated me. So yeah, it's all maturity really is. You grow you get older, you get wiser with age.
Yeah.
My outlook just completely changed with everything. And I just want to have my family around me all the time.
And all my friends and family, even I, like, instantly can tell, like, the difference between who you were before and who you are now. Like, those people are two separate people. Like, who you are now is, like, completely different than who you were before.
That is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, you do it for yourself. Number one, you want to do it for yourself because you want your mental health better. 1, 2, you want to put yourself in a better situation, in a better place. Negativity is never the way to go. You get so many negative thoughts, and that brings depression, psychological depression, brings stress, anxiety, and all that stuff. And you don't want that. My life hasn't been better being in a stable home, in a stable situation/relationship than it's ever been. Like, this is the most stable and most happiest I've been in my stage.
Same.
Point of life. So, despite the bullshit and the roller coasters, it's all played a part in our life. and led us to the situation or the road that we're at now. So
yeah, I agree. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope that, you know, finally all the rumors will come to an end. Anyone that's watching this can learn from our mistakes and grow with us and
Definitely
be the best versions of us or yourselves. And of course, as you know, if you have any dilemmas for season 3, to submit them at www.themadgirlsclub.com. Submit your dilemmas. If you would love to see Manny again for season 3, let me know. But other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode.
I enjoyed this episode, so I hope y'all enjoy this episode.
Yeah, I was really, really, really nervous about this episode.
I was excited.
It starts with me as being the host. You know, I can't try to make you guys try to be vulnerable and share y'all's story if I haven't done it myself. And so here I am sharing my life story with you, and I can't wait for us to all grow together. And in the meantime, I hope you guys are subscribed and following us on YouTube at THEMADGC and following us on social media on Instagram as well.
You can follow me on TikTok, Handyman. 214 YouTube, Manny Fresh 3H's _
Oh boy.
I'm just playing.
But well, you're kind of TikTok famous right now, but
TikTok fame is nothing. I'm a hardworking man. That's all I do. And people like to see a man work hard.
Okay. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's episode. Keep up with the Mad Girls Club. Follow us on social media because I have a lot of great things planned for us and planned for the website. I don't want to share too much information, but follow along with us, and I will see you again for season 3. We will be back better than ever. Until then, I love you guys so much. Bye.